The Red Wings need to change things up. We're going to be talking about culture as much as we talk about personnel this season. One of the options they need to consider, in my opinion, is moving on from some players, even if that means a buyout. Today, I'm going to be looking at JT Compher. Compher, as a centerman, he just hasn't panned out the way that they'd hoped. And I think that he may thrive in a different scenario with a change of scenery. And I think the team needs to bring someone in who can bring more intensity and give you something a little bit more as a bottom six centerman. This is your 7-Minute Wings. Welcome back to the Red Wings Report with Strings and Pucks. This is Jeremy Laura. Please click like if you haven't yet. Please click subscribe. We have a long summer ahead of us. The Griffins, they're about to start their postseason. We've got to get through this first series with Milwaukee and Manitoba. I'm rooting for Manitoba because Milwaukee is going to be a tough first-round matchup, but in my heart, I kind of think Milwaukee is going to take this series. We'll see how it pans out, but pretty soon we're going to have Griffins games to talk about in the postseason. So as you can see, recently I've been doing these filtered videos, a lot less screen graphics. Part of it is I kind of switch room to room while I record these, just wherever I'm able to sit down and do it. So again, I'm just trying to find my feet here as I make some changes going into the second year of the channel. I was going over the roster on cap wages. We have some expiring deals. Simon Edvinsson, that's going to be a big part of the summer. He needs an extension. But for the UFAs, James Van Riemsdyk, Travis Hamonic, Patrick Kane, Cam Talbot, Eric Gustafsson, and David Perron. The only names I would really consider bringing back would be David Perron. I love what he does in the room. And possibly Patrick Kane. Kane is considering retirement. I think JVR is considering retirement, and Hamonic as well. Eric Gustafsson came over. He's been in Grand Rapids all year. It's rumored he's heading back overseas. So culturally, they need to bring in some big pieces. They really need to find a top six centerman. There are people on the roster right now where I think that it's time to find a way to move on. And one I'm going to talk about today is JT Compher. He's making just over $5 million. And JT Compher's pretty much been relegated to the bottom six. He had a quick stint up top where Kopp and Larkin were both injured. The room needs some intensity, and Compher, in my opinion, isn't that guy. That's not his game, and I think that he wants a role where he's getting more minutes or a different situation. I really think Kopp would be happier in a new scenario. There were talks about him trying to return to Colorado at one point, but his cap hit. Any trade, the Red Wings, I think, would have to retain salary, and I'm not sure what your return's going to be. Compher has a 10-team no-trade list that he can put together, so he's got some control there. Not impossible to put a trade together. My thinking is if you can get a second-round pick, I'd be happy to retain the salary, because the other option's a buyout. A buyout, I'm not usually a fan of these, but Abdelkader's coming off the books. He was the only buyout you had on the books that I can see. That's finally expiring. So if you go for a buyout of JT Compher, you're going to get back about $3 million in cap space for the next 2 years, and then he'll be on the books after that for $1.5 million. He'll be on the books for 4 years, cap hit of around $2 million as opposed to $5 million, and then the following 2 years cap hit of around $1.5 million. This is tricky to me because these are human beings. I'm not trying to disparage Compher. I'm not trying to say he's not able to produce. I'm just saying that the room needs people who are going to be leaders in a way that gets everyone stirred up and going. Some of my favorite Stanley Cup moments are the players in the room who get people motivated. If you go back to when the Capitals won the Cup, before every game, Alex Ovechkin was in everybody's face. Literally, they're yelling at each other. Brad Marchand used to be that guy. You know, he's punching the wall. He's hitting guys on the shoulder. Detroit, I don't think has that person right now. So I would move on from Compher. I just think he disappears on the ice. He disappears in the room. He's kind of the quiet leader. Detroit has enough quiet leaders. They need some very vocal leaders. I'd love to bring in a centerman. I'd really wanted to get Ryan O'Reilly. I feel like that kind of leadership would impact the room in an amazing way. But for me, I think JT Compher, he's just not putting together what you need for someone. You need a bottom six centerman who is going to stir up the room. Production-wise, I think you can replace him. I think Danielson, to me, looks like he can be a bottom six centerman in the league. Unfortunately, Danielson, another quiet type. His actions are how he's going to speak. He's just not going to be engaged verbally. He's not going to get everyone motivated on the ice. So I'd kind of like to hear from you on this. I went through this all last summer. Last year, I talked a lot about Copp and Compher, how I felt like the team needed to try to move on from both of them. Copp ends up turning things around a bit. He was, from December on, part of Detroit's most consistent line from December up until the Olympic break. Then he gets injured and falls off. But for Compher, I just feel like you could bring in someone who's going to bring more energy in that type of role and someone who gets the room engaged. He's a quiet player. He's not the guy that's going to be stirring things up. That's what I feel like you need. I think it's time to move on. Give Compher a change in scenery. That might really benefit him and the team. They need someone in who's going to mix it up and get the team motivated on the ice. So I'd love to hear from you on that. What do you think? Is it time to move on from Compher? Are you okay with a buyout? Again, you get $3 million back in cap space for the next 2 years. He'll be on the books for 4. If you can trade him, what are you hoping to get back? Because you're probably going to retain salary. I think if you can get a second-round pick, I'd love to see it happen. Thanks again for tuning in. This was your 7-Minute Wings.